The Tacoma Dome Link Extension, or TDLE, will connect congestion-free regional light rail via mostly elevated tracks from Federal Way to Tacoma. When complete in 2030, this extension will connect the South Sound to the regional light rail network, with service to CenturyLink Field, SeaTac Airport, and Seattle. Your input during this public comment period, or scoping, will help the Federal Transit Administration and the Sound Transit Board of Directors understand what route and station options should continue into the Environmental Impact Statement, or EIS, for further study. Before we look at the latest station and route options, here's a bit of background on how we got here. In November 2016, Sound Transit started with the voter-approved Representative Project, which included 4 new light rail stations near South Federal Way, Fife, East Tacoma, and the Tacoma Dome Station, and parking at the South Federal Way and Fife stations. In spring 2018, we asked for your suggestions where the stations and tracks should go. Over 2,500 people participated across the South Sound, and we received over 550 comments from the public and cities and agencies in the corridor that helped create a universe of possible routes and station locations. In spring and summer 2018, the team got to work, combining suggestions into a focused but broad set of station options and connecting routes. Then we started our first round of study to compare them to each other based on key evaluation criteria. In September 2018, we brought the early evaluation results to you to ask what you thought. Thanks to participation from close to 3,000 people online and at in-person meetings, we received over 700 comments about the routes and stations. Based on public input, feedback from the Puyallup Tribe of Indians and neighboring cities, feedback from the project stakeholder group, and a recommendation from the elected leadership group, the number of routes and stations being evaluated decreased. Some routes and stations were carried forward with more design or location refinement. The smaller set of alternatives has undergone additional research and evaluation based on these evaluation criteria categories. In each station area, route and station options are compared to each other, and we are sharing the results during the scoping period. When this extension is complete in 2030, there will be 1 route from South Federal Way to Tacoma with 4 total stations. Right now, we still have a lot of options for your feedback. Here they are. There are 6 station alternatives in the Tacoma Dome station area, 5 station options in the East Tacoma area, 3 station options in Fife, and 6 station alternatives in South Federal Way. Each station option also has 1 or more route alternative for where the light rail tracks could go. The project team's latest analysis shows which route and station combinations have more potential or greater challenges, but we haven't made any decisions yet. Ultimately, the Sound Transit Board will identify a preferred alternative and other alternatives for continued study from this set of alternatives in each station area, though specific locations may be refined or adjusted. And we'll start stringing those station area alternatives together to complete the project from Federal Way to Tacoma. We are on track to reaching a preferred alternative as soon as this July, and your feedback is important now to help inform that milestone. Now through May 1st, we need to know which routes and stations you think should move ahead for further refinement and study in the Environmental Impact Statement, or EIS. Whether you take an online survey, come in person to one of our open houses, or mail a comment, your input will help the project team understand more about what should be studied further in the EIS. We encourage you to comment on the latest route and station alternatives, or your suggestions for them, environmental topics to study, and the project's draft purpose and need. After the scoping period, we'll summarize feedback in a scoping report. All feedback will be shared with the project stakeholder group and elected leadership group. The elected leadership group will make a recommendation to the Sound Transit Board for which alternatives should continue to be studied. The Federal Transit Administration and Sound Transit Board will consider comments received and other information to identify a preferred alternative for routes and stations and other alternatives to study in the draft EIS. The Federal Transit Administration and Sound Transit Board will take about 3 years to complete the EIS, with other opportunities for public comment, before the board will select a project to be built in 2022. After the EIS process, we will begin more refined design, then construction, and the start of service. So tell us what you think by May 1st.